All right, so I was going to play this one out, but this person took a long time at the very end. I lagged plenty of time. This might be too fast. This might be way too fast. Let's slow it down a bit. This is like a 50-minute game. All right, so I'll try and stay with it and slow it down here and there, but I ended up wasting a lot of time thinking about moves. This is his one. He brought his one down, and his spy, my spy was right here, his four is right there, and that changed a little bit of the dynamics here. I was trying to get him to take that eight, but he wouldn't take it, and he played really well. And as you can sort of see here, there's just a lot going on, a lot of exchanges going on here towards the beginning. But that one was a real pain. It didn't. He didn't really let me take it with my spy, which I really wanted to. At one point in the game, um, I've got a three over there. He moves the one, and this is where things change. So let me slow it down a little bit. Let's just watch this play out here. We're going to do double speed here. So when he brings that one over, I could bring my one over. I could try to move up with my six. Like, I just didn't have a lot of good options here. So I bring over the nine, and then he's coming down with this piece, and I don't know what it is. But I have a feeling it's probably like something that can kill an eight. So I take it out with my two, I expose the two, and then the one's like, okay, and then he moves that piece, and I know right instantly, okay, that's a nine. And when he breaks this spot right here, I'm like, he's either going to take the one or he's not. So I had to move the two. What I should have done is move the two up, but I didn't. And so he takes the spy. And at this point, I decide go for the three on the right because there's really not much I can do. He didn't take the one, and he doesn't take the one. And I think that was his downfall. I think if he had taken the one, it would have been a different game. Um, because now I had his three. But he could also get my three too. So you could see there's this like a lot of kind of back and forth on how to handle this one coming after my two. And I think I played this part really well, where I let him come in, and then I was trying to get that two square rule where I was lined up to go after his piece and pinch it in the back row. I thought I did this really well. He could have taken the three, but I kept moving him out of the way, and he was kind of stuck at this point. Um, and I was really worried about the spy. At this point, I was concerned that he has a spy somewhere out there, and but he just did not want to lose his three. So I had to sacrifice my first three to get his three, which I felt was a good exchange. But the problem was now he had me pinned, and I made a big move blunder right here, I think, because I wanted to find that spy. So he had me pinned here, and I knew. I thought all four of those squares right here, I thought these were all bombs, and I knew I was kind of jacked, but I kind of felt like one of them wasn't. And so when I moved there, I was able to break out of the two thing, but I still didn't move. I just kind of left it there. And again, I don't know if I don't think I was playing this game very well, but I felt like, okay, once I unlocked it right there, I was like, okay, cool. I can keep that one busy over here, but as long as he doesn't move anything over on that right wall, and I know that's his four coming down, so I'm like, all right, well, I'll take your four. But I didn't know what he had behind it. And I thought, okay, that could be a two. And but I was just dead set on getting my nine up there to find out if there was a hole in that wall. And so when he came down with the two, I kept thinking that was a two. I had to just get it out of the way, and I was trying to expose what that was. But he wouldn't expose it, and I didn't want to lose a five because I love fives. Fives are like my favorite piece in the game, because you can trade out the fours, threes, twos, ones, but if you have more fives than anybody else, you are in command position with 4 1s, basically, at the end of the day. So at this point, I'm kind of moving my 3 out of the way because I have a feeling it's a 2, and I had to protect myself. I wasn't worried about my 4 because it could have been a bomb. So I didn't feel like he was going to go after that. And then the 4 starts coming down, and I'm like, you know what? He's bringing down the 4. But now he's putting pressure on me. And I had no idea that that was a 3. Once I discovered that was a 3, I was like, okay, that changes things big time. Because that one right there, that one above the 4 has to be a 2, is what was going through my head. But now he's got me pinned. And he could have taken me out here at this point. But he did something else. He did the 4. So I think at that point he could have taken advantage because he could have pinned me in there. He had me. But now I had a 4 in front of a bomb and I had a 2 in front of a 4, and I was like, okay. And so I had to take my 1 and go after that 3. And this is where I think the game changed hands a little bit, because once I had power position on that 3, that 1 and 3 played all day together. And so now I had the chance to break that wall, and he moved something, and then he moved something over here, and so I was like, okay, he had probably like a 7 or an 8, but I had position on his 3. So that's when I came in with the 3, or came after the 3. Only problem here was I didn't know if that piece on the left corner there underneath the lake was a spy. And so I wasn't quite afraid of it, but I really wanted to keep pressure on that 3, and I knew that I could position some other pieces around, but I just didn't know what he was moving around. And so I was overthinking a little bit here, but I was trying to get away from that spy, and I had no idea where the spy was until this next move. You'll see here. So he comes up. I don't even remember what that piece is. I'll have to see what it was that he moved, because at this point I feel like he's got his 2 heading over towards my bomb. I mean, he could go straight into the flag, but I'm trying to get these pieces to expose without losing. See, I just didn't know if that was a bomb or not. I just felt like 100% that was a bomb, and that whole line was a bomb group, and this was like a trap zone. So I just kept running away, and he kept on playing other things. He kind of just wanted to keep my 2 out of the game. And at this point, I said, okay, he's got a spy somewhere in that front couple rows here. I thought that was an interesting move when he moved that 3 or whatever that was back. I'd started to lose track on where pieces were. And this is where I think I bled like 30 seconds or 40 seconds or even a minute trying to figure out what my next strategy was, because I figured he had a 2 right there, and he was coming after me. But I was trying to get my 3 on the right side. So now he's coming in with his 2, and I'm like, it's got to be a 2. Are we going to sacrifice? So then I figured that piece that he moved was the spy. I figured that must have been the spy that he had positioned, and it wasn't the one in the corner. So at this point, I started bleeding way more time than necessary, overthinking it, but trying to stay competitive because I wanted that 9. First of all, I wanted my 9 to go up and test one of those bombs that I thought, or that wall of bombs that I thought was going on. And then I wanted to get my 1 around after that 3, and I wanted my 3 to kill that spy. But here you can just see I'm just bleeding time. I think I got down to 16 seconds, and then at that point it was like, okay, I think at this point I'm like at 2.5 minutes, and so I'm just like, okay, well, his 3 is somewhere else. I can just come in, and he's either going to take my 3 or he's not. And then I just figured, okay, cool, so I'll take the 5, and I was like, okay, so that's not a spy. Confirmed that was his 2, and then I had his 2, and he could either go down right into the 4, and I'm totally down to sacrifice that. But then I was like, wait a second, he's got potentially a spy above that piece on the left side, and now I figured, okay, so why would he move the 3 there or the 1 there? And so then I'm like, okay, he can't get my 2. I see that he moves the 4 down, I think it was what it was. And so I'm like, he's got a 2 and a 4 and an unknown spy or something. And so I thought I'd bring back my 2, but then he brought back his 3, which he hadn't. He could have taken out my 3 and saved his 8 and his 5. He didn't. And so those 2 3s, they battle, and then I just was like, okay, I got to find my spy, and I think that is the spy right there moving. But then it turns out to be an 8. So I was like, okay, so this spy must already be where I am. And I'm not worried about losing his 8. He's down to 2 8s. I'm down to 3 8s. I mean, I my 8s, or I went like this down to 2 8s. So, but I knew I wanted to get that 2, and I knew his spy was basically in that upper corner, right next to the lake. And so I felt like I did and then he blew it. Then he blew it by moving that 2 unnecessarily, and I opened up the 7 to swing back around and hit that spy. So at this point, I was just trying to keep my pressure on him. Wasn't really that worried about the 4. And I really just wanted to kill that spy because I was pretty sure that's exactly what it was. But I had and then you could see kind of every time I had 2 square lock on him, he would move something else, but he just could never get these 3s to die or this 1 to kill my 2. I just kept moving around, and I felt like I did a pretty good job controlling that 1 the whole game, actually. Until I completely lost track of the 1, which you'll see in a bit. So we're all good there. He's trying to get his 1 back in the game. I'm not letting him get his 1 back into the game, so he can't really commit to me. When he takes out that 4 with that 4, I was like, okay, he could just beeline straight into the flag, but I still felt like I was okay because I had the 4. And now I felt like, okay, back in the game, and I got a spy. I could go kill his 1. I'd have a 2 and a 3, and he'd have a 3 and a 4. But and then he breaks the wall. So then I realized, okay, that's not all bombs, and I could have actually come in with the 2 at that point. But I just couldn't because that 1 was kind of blocking that lane. So then the rest of the game is kind of messing around with my free pieces that could move, trying to outwit him a little bit with some jockeying for position, getting my 3 out of that pocket. Come on, move it, please move it. And what was I thinking? I felt like if he had a 4, he could just come on down and take out the 5. So I was a little concerned about having a 7 and a 5 guarding that flag. So, but I didn't know if he had an 8 here, because if it was an 8, that's really like not an issue, but he was definitely afraid of the 7. So I figured if I brought this over, he's kind of trying to split my position a little bit. And then I figured I could come back with the 1, but for some reason I wanted to, I don't know, just wasn't really kind of thinking through it. And then I figured I'd bring he didn't have any more 9s left, so I wasn't worried about him bringing a 9 down. He'd have to really kind of race to get, but what am I doing here? I've been stressing myself out when I watch this. So he's trying to come in with the 3, so I wanted to get my 1 in the action. Wanted to definitely have 2 square lock, and then he releases the 3, which was great, because then this was a great move. I felt I locked the 1 behind the 3, and then he's screwed, and then I actually forget that that's the 1 right there. So now I've got a free 3 and a 2. He's got a 4, and his 3 and 1 are locked. And so I should have just brought this 2 over, but then he releases the 1. He brings it over here. Okay, he brings it over here on the far right line, right there. I think that's the one. And now I'm just burning more time. Just burning time. And then I figure, okay, he's probably got a 4 right there coming in. And I could have taken but I just wanted to bring this 2 over as fast as possible because I just, I did not like a 4 and a 5 in front of a flag. It just wasn't going to work for me. So I was trying to pinch, but then I should have just pinched him, but I didn't. And then I tried to back out. But then I was like, you know what? It's not a flag. It couldn't be a flag. The 4's, I just gave it to him. And he went here. And this is when I was like, fuck it, excuse my language. Like, well, who puts their flag right there? I mean, obviously it's a 7 or something, or it's surrounded by bombs. But he took the approach that no, this is probably a 7. There's a bomb, so I hadn't moved the 4. So that was luck. I mean, this game is amazing. Sometimes you can make the dumbest moves and pull it off. And so that why he did that, I have no idea. I mean, that was really just kind of a bad move. He could have moved a lot of other pieces. So then he starts bringing up some of that back line, and okay, what's cool about this strategy is I'm actually totally fine with bombs coming down the right lane because then they break open my 5. And then he moves that piece. And I think at this point I'm confused about where that 1 is. I thought the 1 was on the far line, but I believe it is right next to my 1, and I'm burning time here, overthinking, because I got all these other pieces, and I'm like, not even doing anything with them. And then he's telling me like, dude, you're at like 16 seconds. And here's the other thing, if he had not mentioned that, I probably would have blown through that 16 seconds, just not even knowing at all. And here is something interesting. That's the 1. And I have no idea to this day how the 1 got there. I'll have to review this again because I just don't even know. I did not even know that was the 1. And then from here, I'm just hoping like, great, bring down an 8 and unlock my 5. Just stay away from the other side. And I know he's got like a 6 or something. He's got 1 5 left. Take out the 6, and then he's got 1 3 that is still hovering, and then he takes out my last 8, and I'm like, darn it, he's got 6 bombs on there, and I have 0 8s, so this game is over for me. But then he loses his last 5, and like I said, I love my 5s, and so as long as I could protect my 3 here, I felt like I was in a good position because I wasn't going to move that 4 until it was the very end of the game. Then I do this, and I'm like, fine, chase me over here. Let's go mess around with all the pieces you've been moving and see who they are. And that's one thing I know, or I'm learning in Stratego, is you just don't move pieces if you don't need to move pieces. A really good Stratego player taught me that because I used to move my pieces all the time. And at this point, I'm like, okay, so his 3 and whatever this 8 is coming down, and he's got other pieces moving, so I want to take those pieces out, and I'll just bring my 2 down, and I'm trying to go for his 3. I mean, he should have been like, who cares? I'm going to sacrifice the 3 and go for the bomb. But he doesn't, because I think he's like, he just wasn't sure where the flag was, to be honest. And so at this point, I'm like, oh, go for it and commit and potentially lose my 4. But I didn't see that 3 swinging around. And then at least at this, I was still in the 2. And then I was just like, good game, like you beat me, and then he hadn't. And that was his almost one, but I had him in the 2 square lock here. So I felt like, okay, now I've got control. And when he ran the 3 up, I was like, great, this is fantastic. Get that 3 out of my zone. And then I was trying to stay 2 square lock with that guy. And then I could switch out that 3 with the 2, and then I'm like, great, I've got my 3 in the game. He's moving lots of pieces, keep moving them, and I'll just watch that wing. And his 3 was basically out of the game at that point, and I was trying to finagle this guy to make a move and pinch him with my 4 because I knew he didn't have any more 4s. And then he moved the 3, moved the 3, moved the 3, and that's the end of the 3. Opens up the channel for an 8 to come down the middle. So I'm like, all right, I'll bring the 5 over because you have no more 5s. And tried to lock that, couldn't do it. Was like, that's fine with me. Let's just plug the hole. And then there was only one other move he could make, which is come down that line, but he's holding whatever that piece is. I don't even know what it is. So I decided to lock that line. Figured, great, if that's an 8, take out the bomb. And then I brought out the 5. So at this point, it's game over. I've plugged the holes. I can kill basically every piece he has. I take out the last 8, and then he disconnects. And so we're going to fast forward through this disconnect, and which really sucks, and then he comes back and he's playing again. He's back. What do I say? What do I say? Take out his 8. And then basically he had about 4.5 minutes. And so I was trying to say, hey, you rocked. I was trying to say, like, trying to be a good sport, basically. And he was having none of it, and he ran out the clock. So I'm going to speed this up. And I was trying to say, hey, good job, blah, blah, blah. And he just ran out the clock for the rest of the game. So I was just trying to, be a good sport. So that's it for this game. He was locked. I figured he had his bombs. 1, 2, 3. He had a bomb in the front row. Decoy bomb, and then he had his 3 blocking whatever opening he had. He probably had 2 bombs around a flag, and then a 7, and then two bombs here and here and here, 3 bombs right there, and then his 3 was blocking the only exit. And that was it. Thanks for watching. It was a good game.